Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to Kenshi, Birth of a Hive, Episode 3. Quick recap of the rules. I can only recruit hivers or other animals, no more than 10 combat characters per squad, and no weapon or crossbow crafting, although I have an addendum to add to that in a little bit. Goals are to eliminate the slavers, eliminate the other hives, the southern and western alike, and acquire 2 pair of each animal. So I left off last episode barely getting myself out of the Fog Islands intact with everyone alive, and now I'm in the border of Vane here, which is really not any safer. Vane is known for being sort of the heartland of beak things. Beak things are giant giraffe-like man-eating monsters. Pretty much every player of Kenshi has a story about dying to beak things. They're ubiquitous and destructive. There are 2 creatures in Kenshi that most players loathe. Beak things are one, and blood spiders are another. So I have to be very, very careful tiptoeing through this land here, because one misstep and I can find myself toe-to-toe with a beak thing. And then if that does happen, I basically have to pick a character that is likely to be eaten and killed so that the others may run. Sort of the joke of if you and a friend happen upon a grizzly bear, you don't have to outrun the grizzly bear. That's impossible. They run at 40 miles an hour. You just have to be able to outrun your friend so that, the grizzly bear gets fed. And that's exactly what a beak thing is like. Unfortunately, blood spiders kind of swarm you, so sometimes running is not so much an answer. But I'm not in blood spider territory. This is beak thing territory. Now, the addendum I wanted to add about the weapon and crossbow crafting is that there's been suggestions that I allow my guys to craft class or racial-based weapons without penalty, meaning crossbows, low-quality crossbows like toothpicks, and additionally some maybe polearms. If you take a look at the weapons they use, most of these guys use polearms. Pretty much all the guards here have some sort of staff or polearm on them, and they sell armor, and they occasionally sell crossbows, but not often. They also have the blueprints for polearm research, black, yeah. So I think what I'll do is change that rule just a little bit to allow me to craft the things that I would get blueprints from the hivers for. That's probably the best solution. So I'm also low on food and happy to eat or buy the raw food from off of them because I'm going to need to feed myself. Now, ideally, who are you? You're our escaped servants. Ideally, I would stick around for the colony here to pick a big fight with beak things and for me to be able to profit off of said fight. Another thing I'm going to do is hold shift and make medicing a full-time job for the queen, so she always patches up anyone that needs the medical care. All right, so let's find myself out of the dangerous beak thing territory and into this zone here, the border zone, which is the edge of Squin's queendom. The leader of the Shek being a queen, just like myself. So I'm just having a tiptoe, watch very intently, so I don't get ambushed by beak things. They like to nest in choke points near roads and the like, sometimes, and that would be fairly fatal. So, here's some big news. Any suggestion that you have that suggests some sort of change to the fundamental rules of this series, I want you to drop in my suggestion box. And what I'm going to do is compile these for about a week, and after a week, I'll put out a poll of all of the reasonable suggestions I received, and you all can vote on it, and we will pick basically what our any changes to the fundamental rules of this series will be voted upon in that way. Okay, so Thorns did just eat? Alright, whatever. So with that said, if you have any suggestions like... I'll just throw a few out there that I've read in comments, like add mod X or mod Y, or don't allow purposeful amputations, for instance. Robotics are really, really powerful, and there are ways for you to purposefully amputate your own limbs to replace it with high-tier robotics that takes out the risk of losing your limb in combat. Ron, my patron, made that suggestion himself. All of these types of suggestions will go to a poll, and in about 2 weeks' time, for 1 week, I'll be collecting suggestions of that nature, and then in 2 weeks' time, you'll see a poll with all of those suggestions, and you can all vote on them, and the more popular ones will take effect. So feel absolutely free to drop me a line on here or in Discord suggesting scenario and goal changes that you see appropriate to this Hiver role-playing series. Keep that in mind. It has to sort of, stay within the theme of I'm a Hive Queen. So suggestions that deviate too far from that will not be taken as seriously as others. So here I am in Squin, and the reason I came down here is, to put it very, very simply, the guards of Squin are going to be able to offer me protection that I otherwise would not get in other places. Plus, the enemies that you can find here in Squin don't eat you, which is the fastest way to see yourself dead early on in the game is just to be eaten alive by some cannibalistic or corpse-eating animal. And there just aren't any, not really, in high population amounts around Squin. There's mostly just bandits and dust bandits. So the bandits that I'm about to pick a fight with now are very, very poorly geared, and there's not a lot of money in killing them. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give them a pass, mind you. There's not a lot of profit in killing these guys. The dust bandits are more what I'm after, and this is a really good way for me to train up my combat abilities. So what I'm going to do here with Ron is put him into block mode, which is sort of defensive mode. He won't attack, but he will protect himself more because he's in a 5 versus 1, and he's getting beat up pretty hard. And then we're going to have Thorns and Beep and Queen all tag team the same guy, and we'll just sort of conquer them that way. And that way we might be able to actually do... Oh, Queen is getting targeted. Alright, Ron, let's take you off a block. Start going on the attack. These hungry bandits aren't particularly threatening to my guys. Even though they're pretty new to combat, they're not starving, so they have no hunger penalties. Like this guy that Queen just put down never even got the chance to attack her. He just got shot from range. One important thing to do, the bandit leaders, every group that you find will have some sort of leader, and the leader has a better weapon. So this weapon is worth 113, whereas this little club is worth 49. Plus that weapon is more effective, so you're going to want to take it away from the leader in case they regain consciousness mid-fight. Thorns and Beep, they're doing a really good job. Queen is actually going toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. I'd rather have her ranging. And we will clean up this group of hungry bandits, actually without much effort, I gotta say. Was not very effortful, and I'm sort of proud of my crew for doing such a good job of it. So now what I'm going to do is go around and loot the dead, basically pluck their gear off of them. It might encumber me, but I'm a short sprint away from Squin, and I'll just go ahead and sell this. It's all worth basically pennies on the dollar. It's really not a lot of economic value, but Thorns, where are you going? But it's pretty much all I can afford to do. I don't want to spend entire episodes. Alright, just hold. Thorns is... Oh, he's trying to... Okay, that's dark. What he's trying to do is eat the limbs of someone that has been had their limbs departed. I think the nicest way I can put it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is... I can't loot them all because I don't have space for the last one, so I'll treat the last one like a human backpack. And we'll go ahead and bring their bounty back into Squin. Now there's a few there's a rather large group of dust bosses, or dust bandits. I definitely want to pick a fight with them, but not when I'm encumbered with the loot of the last group. These dust bandits are stronger. And there's also some goats here that would provide some pretty precious meat. So what I'm going to try to do here is piss off these dust bandits and get them to fight the gate guards, because I can make a lot of money that way. So let's get everyone into the city minus Queen, because Queen is fast and not that encumbered, and have her try to lure these dusters to their doom. The gate guards are incredibly good at what they do. The Shek guards here are really, really strong, and a swarm of dust bandits is no threat whatsoever to them. So what I'm doing now is selling off everything in my current inventory as fast as I can, so that I can fill up with all the dust bandit stuff. So Beep just ditched his stuff, and Ron ditched his. Beep needs to put this body down and loot this body for extra loot, and then sell that off. Every penny counts, especially when you're hungry. And now, ideally, I'm going to want to find the Dust Bandit boss, which is going to be worth the most money. In fact, there might even be a bounty on the boss's head for me to be able to profit. Because what's going to happen here is the guards are going to very quickly jail everyone. Oh, yeah, here's the dust boss. Perfect. Everyone jump on top of him. He's already unconscious, but he hasn't been jailed yet. So sometimes the dust bosses have bounties on their head, and even if they don't have bounties, they have higher quality loot than the normal guys. They're the bosses, so their quality of loot might be a tier or two higher. Okay, so he just got knocked unconscious. Taking a look at him. Oh, we have a full inventory. He has a spiked helmet, which is standard quality, which is good. His saber class might be higher quality than what Ron even has. Boots are never going to be helpful to me, but also has armored rag skirt, which gives 2439 resistance, which is much higher than what Ron's currently wearing. The helmet I could give to Queen, but I don't want to. I don't need it to have her have a big helmet. And then on top of that, the boss himself might have a bounty on him. I'm not sure, so I'm going to pick him up to check anyway. So now I've got to adjust my inventory here to take what is valuable. The blade is actually pretty valuable, but the armor, I think, is even more valuable. These boots, for instance, are worth a pretty penny as well. And because I did help to lure them and actually contribute functionally to the fight, I don't feel like this is just the corpse looting I did an episode or two previous. I'm actually helping. I don't know why you just called me shameful. But let's see. So if you have... Oh, never mind. There is no bounty on this dust boss. Normally the bounties would show. But I'm just going to put the dust boss in prison anyway. So if you have a bounty, if this dust boss had a bounty on his head, and I put him in prison, I would be paid for it. Plus, there should be a dialogue with the Shek that manned the bottom of the prison, the bottom of the bounty office, saying, like, here's a person that I'm turning in for money or whatever. So now I need to check. This does 0.69 cutting damage. This is worse. I'm trying to make sure I don't throw away anything. 0.65. That is better than my current Nodachi, so I'm going to ditch my Nodachi. These pants are better because they have better coverage, so I'm going to keep the pants, sell all the helmets, and I'm going to buy some dried meat for everyone. I have a decent amount of money now. Built up just looting the 2 dust bandits. They're obviously better equipped than... Oh yeah, and here's a dust bandit woman. They're better equipped than most of the average hungry bandits. There's a dramatic difference in quality of loot. So now let's go ahead and grab a few more of their stuff. Got caught stealing. Oh, because he stood back up? Yeah, maybe you should have stayed played dead and allowed me to loot you. Something tells me that that would have been healthier for you. And before the dude gets carried away from the guard, I'm just going to grab every last piece of loot from this guy. Because this dust bandit's about to be picked up, and I'll lose the ability to loot him. Okay, so my inventory is just about full again. Beep's got a little bit of room, and Ron's just about full up as well. Are these... No, these are guards. So they probably just walloped more dust bandits up the road. So I'm just going to ditch my inventory and take a quick look for some more bandits to loot. And then what I want to do is head off to the swamps to potentially hire some more muscle. So I'm just carefully looking at the quality of the stuff I'm selling, because if it's better than shoddy, I might equip it, but most of the stuff is just shoddy. Or prototypes even worse. But even given its low quality, my money has gone up dramatically. Now I can kind of look at where these 100 guardians are, these check guards are, in order to find some bandits that have yet to succumb. But I have to do it quick because, as you can see, the bandits get scooped up pretty quick. The prison pretty soon will fill up to the point where the bandits will just be left to rot in the noonday sun. Yeah, there's one. I think it might be an escape servant or something. Oh, they are an escape servant. That's okay. So I'm heading sort of the wrong way. I kind of want to be headed south. So let me turn south. Now I'm heading south because a lot of the hivers that get exiled congregate for whatever reason in the swampy regions. Pretty much every single unique hiver that exists in this game, I will recruit except for one. There's one that I'm going to leave out. Ooh, this is not good. There's one that I'm going to leave out because the politics of recruiting them is wrong. If that might not make sense. But basically, you get them through making political decisions that I disagree with. Okay, so Beep has just been attacked by bone dogs, but fortunately for me, they aren't, they don't eat hivers. What does happen, though, is I am slow. There's another dust bandit. This one obviously gotten whopped by the Shek, so he has 2 crippled arms and can't really fight. It's not much of a fight, but there is some big fight going on over there that I should keep watch with. So instead of going to the swamps real quick, what I'm going to do is loot this dust bandit and then see what's going on over there, the additional fighting, and get Beep a bed to heal up, because he's a little bit too wounded to go into the dangerous territory of the swamp. You don't want, especially leg wounds, you don't want leg wounds. Alright, Ron, take the armor. Queen, pick up Beep. Also, it might not be a terrible idea to... Alright, so the big fight happened over here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. Ooh, there's a Garu who is... Oh, it's just a big group of Garu. There's a lot of food here. I think it was the bone dogs once again. But this food is fantastic, because I was hungry, and now I'm not. Alright, I definitely want to come back, because I've been paying for my dried meat, and looting those Garu there are going to keep me fed for days to come. And selling their leather is also pretty profitable as well. I think they probably got picked off by the bone dogs that beat up. I don't really care what killed them, I just care that I profit from them. And then we can throw Beep into a hospital bed. Oh, some prisoners fighting up in the prison tower. I just saw that. That's kind of funny. So I'm gonna rent a bed for Beep. Let's go up a floor and put him in a bed. It's gonna cost me like 100 a night. Yep, 100 a night. And his stats will regenerate. His limbs and all that will regenerate much, much, much quicker in a rented bed. Alright, Gills, hello. Bye, bye, bye. Shopkeeper is not even able to afford my stuff anymore. That's great. That's great, because that means I've been selling a lot of stuff. There's plenty of shopkeepers. There's plenty of open nighttime bars up in this city. So I'll just go to another one. Now, I'm not going to be able to hire any... I'm not really going to be able to hire any hivers here. They're very, very... the Shek wouldn't have hivers. They don't really mix. So, for me to get hivers, I really have to venture elsewhere. But I don't... Heading into Mongrel over and over and over is also not ideal. What I'm going to do is have Thorns hang out with Beep, because Thorns is slow. Actually, Thorns, what I'm going to have you do is just do a little pacing around to level up your moving skill. So there is some more dust bandits here that I want to avoid. I want to get back to the Garu to profit off of all the corpses of those animals. And I'm not looking for a fight at the moment. So if I just scoop, here's a bone dog that's eating, attacking me. Alright, bone dog. This bone dog's pretty already wounded. So they hit pretty hard. This is what an adult bone dog, what I can look forward to, is quite a lot of damage. It just shredded my leg real hard. If I treat Thorns correctly, meaning keeping him alive and getting him in combat and all that good stuff, we can look forward to having a very combat capable bone dog. Alright, Queen is hungry, so I'm gonna make a campfire right here and cook my meat off and start to grab more meat. These Garu are stuffed full of it. Some of the meat I can even potentially sell, given its profitability. Beep is getting pretty healed. His leg was pretty wounded, though. Alright, so Ron's inventory is full of leather and meat. Thorns, I gave Thorns the full-time job of protecting Queen, and as a result, Thorns ran all the way over the Queen, rather than staying with Beep, because I didn't reorder that order. That's okay. Because Ron is running back into town to go ahead and sell some of the leather that he looted so I can loot some more stuff off the Garu. And Queen is just out here next to the corpses cooking it all up. Having one hell of a barbecue. Now, as you can imagine, the more characters that you add, the more combat able your group will become, and potentially the more profit you'll make, because you can take on bigger and bigger targets. Okay, so Ron, head back to Queen. And Queen, just keep cooking. Now, once I get a backpack, some backpacks, most backpacks inhibit your combat abilities a bit, but some of them allow you to stack items up pretty high, which would allow me to loot and move loot way more effectively, which would be very, very good. Alright, so Queen's inventory is just about full of meat, processed meat, dried meat, which does not spoil. Food doesn't spoil anyway, but... Alright, so I have more meat than I can even process. Let's see, Ron runs back into Squin. Once Beep's on 2 feet, we'll have enough room to carry all this food. I'd rather not sell it. I'd rather keep it and keep myself really, really well fed. On the other hand, that does make me a bit of a tastier target for the hungry bandits. They, I believe, can smell food on you. They're a bit more attracted when you have food on you. The dust bandits, that's not true, though. Dust bandits make no difference. So instead of outfitting my very, very few people with arms and armor, what I'm going to do is just use the money I have to try to recruit more. Just add to the group. All right, so Ron is a little wounded. I'm going to have him jump into Beep's bed. It's still rented, so I don't have to pay that fee twice. And Queen cannot fit even one more piece of meat in her inventory without a backpack, so Beep is going to run over here and start processing through his backlogged meat. And Queen should probably run into Squin and also heal up her leg. Just trying to multitask as best as I can. Make people productive. Alright, Beep is now cooking his meat. Now, the cooked meat makes no difference to Beep or Ron. They can eat raw meat. The nutritional value doesn't fundamentally change. It's 15 or 15. The difference is, of course, Queen wants to eat dried meat, and dried meat is worth more than raw meat. It's gone through the process of being dried, which somehow adds value. Yada, yada, yada. I'm going to dry all my meat because it doesn't really cost me anything. Alright. Ron, you're going to give up your bed to Queen. At some point, I'm going to have to repay the rental fee. The time hasn't occurred yet. Unfortunately, I'm on the roof and I've got a dust storm happening, so it's probably not the most pleasant sleep I've ever gotten. Alright, so this weapon weighs 5 kilograms. Beep's weapon weighs 4. Alright. Queen, your leg is mostly healed up. Once she's mostly healed up, I want to start heading into the swamp. The swamp has its own sets of dangers, for sure. I mean, no joke. It's very dangerous to be there. But there is the potential of adding more recruits. So right now what I'm doing is weight sharing. If I take a look at their movement speeds, Beep is far slower than Ron because Beep is encumbered more than Ron. So I'm having Beep give Ron some of the meat that Beep was holding so that Beep can be faster. And now they're both at 14 miles an hour, rather than like 23 and 16. Alright, so now we're all here. We're going to follow Thorns, because Thorns is the slowest common denominator. A term I like to use in this game. And it looks like some giant, whoa, some relatively large war is happening over here. What is going on? Hungry bandits killing whom? Dust bandits and hungry bandits going toe-to-toe. And I'm finding myself somewhere in the middle. That's rather large groups of bandits, too. Looks like it was pretty much bloodless. Oh, maybe it was just some bone dogs. It does look like they just picked on some bone dogs and grabbed all their meat from the bone dogs. Who are you? Tech hunter? Wandering assassin? Cool. Not someone that's gonna try to harm me. So, the problem is... Thorns is very, very slow. So I can pick up Thorns and go from 9 to 13 miles an hour, but at 13 miles an hour, I'm still dangerously slow and easy to pick off. Basically, I would say the speed of which you should try to match or exceed should be something like 20. The average enemy runs about 20 or so. There's yet another turf war happening between... Oh, it's a pretty large turf war. Whoa, it's really large turf war happening between the bandits. A lot of profit to be made there, but I have a goal for myself, which is to try to expand the hive. One of my goals isn't to beat up dust bandits. And then the dust bandits are almost always going to be the ones to win in these fights because they're better geared, which means there's not going to be a whole lot of equipment to loot. As you can see, the hungry bandits, the ones that have pennies for gear, are going to be the victims, which are going to be the easy ones to loot. So I don't really feel like I need to stick around there for very long. Alright, so we are roughly, vaguely following a path here towards the swamp, where I might be able to pick up some more hivers. Each sort of empire has its own politics. The Shek, you will seldom find other non-Shek living in those settlements because the Shek are not as bad as Holy Nation or whatever, but they're not super friendly to outsiders. Whereas in the swamps, they're kind of run by thugs, but they aren't. So they're not great. It's not safe to be here. In fact, it's very dangerous. Given the amount of blood spiders and the like. But, okay, swamp raptors are neutral creatures. As long as they don't attack them, they won't attack me. So a lot of ex-hivers find themselves in swamp territory because it's it's not a friendly place to be. Like, here we go, slave mongers. They're not hostile to me yet, but they will be once I go to war with the slavers. But there are some thieves here that are sort of... for lack of a better term, kill on sight, that will try to kill you regardless of your political affiliations, but most of the people here are at least... Yeah, see, these swamp ninjas here are probably... I don't want to get too close. They're not the friendliest. And it's sort of run by crime syndicates, this whole region. But all this running around will do wonders for my crew, which are only really ever gaining... Oh yeah, see, here's a swamp ninja that probably wants to fight me or something. Yep. And he moves at 21 miles an hour. And where there's one, there's usually 10. And at the moment, I can't outrun them, given my meat encumbrance. I am holding a lot of meat and have some good armor. I could all try to jump this guy, but this guy's stats are not inconsequential. Unlike the starving bandits, these little swamp ninjas are a little bit more equipped than most. But with risk comes reward, and he's not leaving me alone, so I think if the time is ever, it is now. So I'm going to have all my guys gang up on him. I don't see any other swamp ninjas nearby. What I'm going to do is get Queen a better line of sight. And Thorns is downed and dying. Yeah, this is what you don't want. You don't want to be crippled or downed in the swamp full of swamp spiders, which are really dangerous. Now, all we need on this swamp ninja is a few more good chest shots. But Beep here has a really wounded chest, so I'm going to temporarily take him out of the fight. And have him patch himself up. Ouch. Ron's left arm is definitely worse for wear. The enemy got close enough to Beep. Oh, there we go. Finally downed. Queen will patch everyone up. I don't think I have a lot of space for stuff, but yeah, the clothing that they had was kind of mediocre. The benefit to this, of course, is the blade, which is pretty decent, and then maybe carrying some armor, because these shirts are not designed for hivers. The reason why hivers can't wear normal shirts is hivers don't look like normal humanoids. So as a result, because they're slightly different dimensions, you can't just slap any old shirt on a hiver. They only can really wear hiver-specific shirts. I just burned through my last medical kit, so let's go give Queen some of our spare medicine. And that will get Thorns out of the woods and not bleeding to death. And then she'll patch up Ron and Beep too. I'll just speed time up here. Now, the real danger of the swamp is it's full of hyper-dangerous blood spiders, which are also cannibalizing. Most of the most dangerous enemies, one of the reasons why they're so dangerous is if they do knock you unconscious, they eat you and you die. Because in this game, if they don't eat you, you can lay there and bleed out, and it might take a while. And if someone regains consciousness, they can run around and patch everyone else up, and then you're okay. If they just eat your corpse or eat your unconscious body, there's really no way to safely recover from that. Which is why big things and blood spiders, all the sort of creatures that are fast and can eat you and hit hard are really dangerous. Because you can find yourself in a no-win scenario where you're bleeding out, dying, and are being consumed alive. Sounds pretty dark, right? So Rot here is a teeny little swamper town, and it currently looks to be closed because it's nighttime. So if I wanted to heal up or whatever, there's really not much for me to do. But I'm just about out of time for this episode, so just a quick reminder to you all, if you have any feedback for me that involves changing the goals or rules, provide it. I will be collecting this sort of feedback for the next week, so between July 6th to July 13th, and then on July 13th I'll put out a poll, which is a compilation of all of your suggestions and feedback that change the game's rules or goals or mods, etc., and have a public forum vote on what you guys want to see changed in this series, and then those changes will take effect after about a week's time of voting, having open polls, and you guys can change the course of this series as you see fit, as a group, as democratically. Alright guys, well thank you all for watching. I hope you tune in next time, and as always, take care. Adios.